Hey guys, GHAZZY TV here with another Path of Exile 2 build guide video, and today we have what I'm going to call the Path of Exile 2 version of a ZOOMANCER build. The ZOOMANCER build is essentially using a large quantity of minions. We have a Reaver, we have a Frost Mage, we have a Cleric, we have a Terracotta Soldier Spectre, we have a Storm Mage, we have, at this point, the character 15 Archers and 2 Warrior Skeletons from our Rattling Scepter as well. This is a Ritualist. Ta-da! It's a Ritualist build. Now, in link to the description down below will be either a POB or the written guide. If the written guide is listed, that means the written guide is posted, and you'll find the POB in that written guide. So why Ritualist? There's a couple of answers as to why. First one is the priority of Ascendancy node is to get the ring slot, and we do that with reduced mana. Ring slot is really nice. That means we get another ring. Then we take the increased attribute to grab Mystic Attunement, which scales all of our rings and our amulets by 25%, similar to Ingenuity, but it also applies to our amulets. We are not running Fireflower with this because of a variety of reasons. I'll go through that with the gearing. This is one of the reasons we take the Ritualist. The second reason is partially where we're starting on the tree, and not these nodes, because I'm going to be honest, they suck ass. But these two is 6% movement speed. So the sacrifice ability, I'll show you how it looks. Basically, you go emo and you self-mutilate. And by doing that, you'll get an aura. Which apparently doesn't show up when you're in your hideout. But you can't tell what buff you got. So I can go back into the map and I'll show you how that buff looks. And it's really frustrating. So I'll walk you guys through the entire build setup and everything. Then I'll talk about it whilst I'm doing a map clear. So you see here, I have no idea what buff I just got. I'll cut again, 28 seconds. No idea. Oh, I got this radius. I don't know which one this is. I think it's Executioner. I have no idea. I have still no idea. No idea. No idea. Same thing. We'll keep cutting until I actually can figure out what I got. Come on, don't waste my time. Essentially, there's only 2 different mods that would be really nice to have. This is basically when you're playing the game with this build. Now I got Temporal Bubble. I can't see it up here. I'll just see it visually. Now I got Elemental Resist Aura. What you're looking for is a orange-red one that gets you increased physical damage aura, and the other one is green Haste Aura. Those are the 2 ones you actually give a shit about. But you'll basically use that ability when you're not casting anything else. So let's walk you guys through the skill tree. So that's basically the priority is Unfurled Finger, and then Mystic Attunement, then As the Whispers Ask, and then As the Whispers Demand. I'm currently level 86. I am not at the point where I'm going to showcase any bosses with this, because this is a project I'm still working on. We'll be making some changes if needed. We should end up on like 1.5 million DPS with this. However, the next nodes I'm taking is after I'm finishing the defense here, I'm going to be taking this and this Evasion. Then movement speed, and movement speed. So why is movement speed so good? I mean, obviously, it is movement speed. But what it does allow us to use is Bones of Ullr without having the negative impact in this. In the previous patch, people ran Tacticians or Gemini Legionnaires because they get access to cooldown recovery, so we can use Blink. We're not using Blink effectively with this build. However, because of the fact that we have access to so much movement speed, we can use Bones of Ullr instead of a 30 or 35% movement speed boost and not feel bad about it. This is where a lot of our damage comes in. Other than that, skill tree is Evasion Energy Shield based. We will be picking up Subterfuge Mask for evasion rating per energy shield on our helmet. So the bigger the helmet is, the better evasion. I'm currently at 60% evasion with my character. We'll picking up energy shield evasion nodes. Same thing here. We're shimmering. And then we're grabbing the Inner Faith. Chaos Inoculation. Don't switch to Chaos Inoculation unless you have at least 3,000 plus energy shield. And then we grab the Relentless Fallen, and Necrotized Flesh, as well as Fear of Death. We have Vile Mending, Entropic Incarnation. It was really important to get these 2 nodes and a Stun Immunity Charm. Otherwise, you keep getting stunned by small hits. So these 2 nodes are quite important. Presence or Spirit stuff for Profane Commander. Crystalline Flesh for more resistances. Energy Shield. All of these nodes will be picked up. Energy Shield. And then we're oiling Patient Barrier for the higher body version. And we're using From Nothing Jewel with Whispers of Doom to get access to these 3 resistance nodes as well as this one. If you want to push the rest of your minions, you can cap them at 83%, but you need to have 2 well-rolled minion resistance jewels. Like this one's 8%, and I have another 10% here. So if you have 16%, I think it is, from 2 jewels, you can actually cap your minions' resistances. So one of my main concerns was the survivability of our minions, but it seems to be fine as we're currently testing this in-game for tier 15, 16 maps and bosses. We're going to be testing this versus endgame bosses in the coming days as well to see how it actually performs. But as of right now, this is the guide for it. I have a PUB, which I'll actually show you now when I talk about the gear. So in the PUB, top right corner, this will be available in the written guide as well. You can choose the loadout to switch between low budget, which is around level 75, and the medium budget, which is 91. So let's start with the low budget. As you can see, we're not taking minion resistance nodes anywhere. We're also oiling the Dead Can Dance for more accuracy, which is very, very cheap. However, why we're not taking minion resistances is because you're going to keep your minions alive by using a 1 exalted item called Carrion Call. This makes your minions have the same resistances that you do, and they also get some extra damage and HP. So this is how we solve that problem. And then later, when you're higher level, you'll then be picking up those nodes to get the minions' defenses and resistances. That's when you can change this into a Sun Splinter. Obviously, we'll be running 1 Ever-Grasping Ring and Bones of Ullr for the low-budget version. This felt really good. I was clearing up to tier 14, 15 with this. Around level 77, 78 was really nice. Or running a plus level of minion skill scepters. Then you want to have increased damage in allies in presence, and then the spirit, and then attack speed, and then something else. But you should be going for level of minions, and then damage should be the 2 highest priorities. We're going to have to change that in the PUB. And then the other gear is basically the same gist as we have in most builds. We run a high energy shield plus level of minions helmet. We'll have a hybrid body armor with energy shield evasion with the implicit of movement speed. And you want a spirit roll on your chest piece. This is, again, to compensate movement speed from your Bones of Ullr. And gloves, just high energy shield and resistance or attributes as needed. Your amulet in the low budget will oil the Dead Can Dance. Priority is level of minions, then spirit, and whatever attributes resistances. If you can get extra energy shield on this, would be really nice. 1 Ever-Grasping Ring and then a second ring. Could be just any resistances and or attributes plus rarity is nice. You do want to use 1 unset ring for this build because of the amount of minions we're running. And then belt should literally just be, if your mana is nice, but just focus on resistances or strength if you need, but you shouldn't need strength in this build. Charms matter personal preference. I like to have ignite immunity, stun immunity, and freeze immunity. And Sapphire Jewels should just be energy shield and then minion damage. If you can afford a 3rd mod, that should either be attack cast speed for minions, or 2 of them should be with resistances for minions. And that's kind of the gear for low budget. And as soon as you step up to, well, actually the quest reward, since we're going CI, the first Venom Flask should be mana regen. Second one should be attributes, not the Chaos Rest, since we're going CI. For medium budget, the gear changes a little bit. Tree changes a little bit as well. Mostly it's that we're changing the patient barrier up here. That's basically the play. And in medium budget, you have the remaining nodes, which means we're picking up like Vile Mending. We're taking these 3 resistance nodes. This gives us plus level chaos skills, which applies to snipers. And we're picking up Crystalline Flesh for resistances. And this node right here for another 8% is quite important. Gear-wise, however, in the medium budget is... again, we're going for the same type of weapon, but this time you want to have +4. We're now changing our shield from the focus Carrying Call into a Sun Splinter with level of fire skills. Can have plus lightning would be nice as well for your Storm Mage. And then you'll run same thing with the helmet. Everything else is the same, except that now you want to use 2 Ever-Grasping if you can. This does put more pressure for attributes and resistances on all your other pieces. So if you're not there yet, just use 1 Ever-Grasping until you have enough currency to buy or craft or whatever you're doing to get the other pieces going. We are using it from nothing here in this case, as explained earlier, but we're also adding a Prism of Belief if you can afford the higher budget version for level of sniper skills. However, there is a current bug going on, so do keep that in mind that when you're buying the Prism of Belief and you're looking for a level of sniper skeletons, it is really important that you choose the first one. If you buy the first one, it will work. If you buy the second one, they don't work. They're bugged. Currently costing 55 diamonds. Imagine buying that and it doesn't work because it's bugged. Or is it the other way around? Sorry. My bad. I'm mixing it. First one does not work. The second one works. That's it. Sorry. I mixed it. So these here do not work. However, people are buying and selling them thinking it works. These are bugged. They don't work. You have to buy the second one. The second one works. This is not bugged. So that's what you have to do. So when you search for this, make sure you choose the second row here. Either way, so that's for the higher body version. It does put a lot more pressure. Now, if you really want to min-max this, you want to run 3 rings. However, now you have even more pressure on resistances and attributes for the rest of your gear pieces. So that's going to be a bit tight. However, I'm going to show you some gameplay footage as we talk about the build. But before I do that, I do want to show you the skills. So in low budget version, we're not even cursing. Skill setup is using a voltaic mark with single out support. This is to let our minions get our shock bots provide giga shocks when you have quality on voltaic mark. You can have a low level voltaic. You don't have to level it up. Single out makes you essentially instantly armor break the enemies. Pain offering should have ablation, expanse, and inspiration. Sniper should be supported with Chaos Mastery, Martial Tempo, Muster, and Feeding Frenzy. And then if you get a 6th link, the last one would be Lightning Infusion. However, Lightning Infusion will be switched out for either Gamble Shot or Fork, whichever you prefer. I actually like Fork a lot right now for single target boss fights. And later when you have a 6th link, you'll just have the entire set that's listed here. Storm Mages should be Conduction and Overcharge. If you have a 3rd socket, add Coursing Current. A 5th socket could be literally anything. I have Blind on my Rattling Warriors right now. You could chuck in something like Control Instructions or something. Doesn't really matter. Just make him do a little bit more damage, and it actually helps the shocks. Spectre should be a Terracotta Soldier that costs 10 Spirit. I've talked about this in previous builds. You'll find them in the Lost City in Act 2 Underground. You'll have to find the statues that comes alive. It's called a Terracotta Soldier, but make sure you only take the one that costs 10 spirits. If you're unlucky, it's going to take you a little bit to find one. We use 1 Cleric, in which have Elemental Army and Last Gasp. We have a Frost Mage, mainly to scale the damage from our Muster support, in which I just chucked in Cold Pen and Cold Mastery for a little bit of extra damage. We have a Reaver, just to help out with some extra bad Armor Pen on the Voltaic marked enemy with Heft and Heavy Swing. We run a Brute on the low body version. The higher one will replace the Brute with a Curse, and we just run Exploit Weakness here. Ghost Dance is basically an aura that we run fast forward that makes it so that when you finally do take a damage hit, you'll just recover Energy Shield based on your evasion. And in a game, I have currently almost 5,000 evasion rating, 60% evasion, which means I'm barely taking any hits. But when I do take a hit, which will happen, I will then recover Energy Shield from whatever I lost, which is really nice. Ritual Sacrifice, Arcane Tempo does not work in here, but you can run something like Persistence for the duration of it. You could smack in something like an Energy Barrier. We haven't really decided on that yet, but that's kind of like the approach right now. Skeletal Warrior Minions, Sacrificial Lamb needs to be in here, as well as Maim and Culling, and Sacrificial Lamb is currently not in the PUB. So make sure you have Sacrificial Lamb, Maim and Culling, Strike, and whatever you feel like after that. In the medium body version, the skills changes a little bit. So we run the same setup and supports on almost everything, or actually on everything. You could change Ghost Dance for Convalescence if you prefer, but I like Ghost Dance. Outside of that, the only thing that we're changing is adding a Despair Curse instead of the Brutes. And this would be the Heightened Curse, Cursed Ground, Ritualistic Curse. So I'm going to talk about the build a little bit, and before we go into the map, whilst I talk about it, I do want to show you that if you hover over your scepter, and you hold down Alt and hover over Presence, you can see how large your presence radius is. This is extremely important, because the vast majority of your damage output comes from you being within presence of your minions. So if you're outranging your minions, they do very little damage. And this is mainly because of the rings and the damage you get from the scepter, for example. So that's really, really important to keep that in mind. So you'll see the playstyle is me moving up to make sure that my minion starts attacking, and then moving back so I'm within range of my minions. So we'll do a desert map, and we'll show you this on a tier 15. And I'll talk about the build's playstyle. You shouldn't spam your curse too much. You'll see me do the self-mutilating bullshit every now and then, but I don't really care too much about this. However, what I will do is use Pain Offering almost always. Pain Offering right now with this build has a 10.2 meter radius, which is basically screen wide, and it lasts for 6 seconds. So what I'll be doing is, as soon as I engage a fight, I will always make sure I have a Pain Offering up by sacrificing one of my Rattling Warriors And if I encounter any harder enemy, then I'll just pop out Voltaic Mark and then Curse, because the Curse itself costs a lot of mana. It's like 300 mana. As you can see here, if I'm outranging my minions, I basically do no damage. So that's the important part when playing this build, is keep using Pain Offering on cooldown. Since we are using expands for radius on it, it will have a cooldown so you don't overuse it. So it's quite comfortable that way. Outside of that, rare enemies can pop a Voltaic Mark or Curse it. It's all preferential. Both of them will do damage, but minions should be... enemies should be dying quite effectively with a build like this. Even without Cursing or without Voltaic Mark, things should die quite often. So that's the general playstyle, which is very lazy. This feels like a very high-end version of a PoE 1 minion build. Because in the higher-end versions of like a ZOOMANCER build, you end up in a position where you don't have to press too many buttons, but if you do, you'll increase the efficiency of the build, but you don't have to when you're just chill playing, which is quite nice, actually. I can use the unique chest again. Nice. And I pop in boxes or rituals. You might as well pop a curse in the middle there. Any rares, I'll pop Voltaic Mark on. And as I have evasion, I don't have to worry too much about damage taken, because I should be recovering it quite effectively. Do keep in mind, though, that damage over time effects like United Burning Grounds and whatnot is extremely frustrating on this type of build. Simply because there's no regeneration effect on the build or recharge. So essentially, you're covered from hits. But do try to stay away from needlessly tanking things in the face, right? So that's the current playstyle of this build. It feels really good. I don't think there was a... Well, there is a boss in this build as well. On the map, sorry. As you can see here, I have to move back to make sure that my skeletons actually gets the radius buff. Otherwise, they barely do any damage. Any harder rares, I can pop the buttons on. Other than that, I can just lean back and chill and just pop my Pain Offering on cooldown to make sure I have all the damage I need. It's really, really comfy. And the reason we're using snipers instead of Storm Mages is because they have a vastly longer attack range. Storm Mages should theoretically be able to do a bit more damage. But this is like, you'll get to a point where you'll just have a much smoother, clear experience playing with sniper skeletons instead, and we're able to utilize things like armor break and whatnot as well. So I'll show you how fast this build is killing corrupted bosses in a tier 15, utilizing armor break and whatnot. So if you don't have anything to press, what you'll do is you'll start self-mutilating yourself for a buff. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of this build at all. But if you don't have anything else to press, you might as well, till you see one of the auras that you're looking for, either the increased physical damage aura or the haste aura. If you have the haste aura, that's insane how much damage that actually provides this build, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's a very comfortable build. I don't really have much else to add to it other than to show you guys the gameplay footage of it and get to the boss. I think I covered everything. I would not recommend playing this in solo self-found, because to keep minions alive in the low-budget version, you're gonna have to get a Carrion Call and Bones of Ulur. A lot of our damage comes from the Bones of Ulur boots and the Ever Grasping. So I wouldn't say solo self-found effective because of that. Another thing to point out is that you do not level with minions. I would recommend leveling with whatever the meta is for leveling a Ritualist or a Huntress in general. So basically Lightning Spear, or if you twink it out, you can use Rake and whatnot. I'll leave a link in the description down below for the leveling guide we have up on PoE Vault Icy Veins for the Huntress. That's how you would level the build up till you're like 75, 77, 78 or something like that, and you have all the items you need. That's when you can switch out and actually play. Are you going back? Oh, fuck you. No, it is the right way. I'm just blind. Anyways, we're gonna follow the wisp. Let's go. Dude, these maps are so big. Anyways, Pain Offering on cooldown. If it's a harder pack, you can put, or a big pack, you can always put down a curse. But make sure that Pain Offering is in play. And that's about it. By the way, my current gem level in game, I have a level 19 skill gem. And I have level 36 skeletal snipers with that, which is kind of crazy. If you have proper gear, you can get level 38, 39. In really good gear, you'll reach level 40 on your sniper skeletons, which is obviously a ton of extra damage, but also extra survivability for them. So you can push this build quite extensively. Just have to move back to make sure that my minions get in range. Pick the world's biggest map. Yeah, I know. And a double unique box on top of that. But this one has a boss in it. They're like, well, the corrupted boss. So I wanted to showcase that. Well, I need to level up a little bit, and then we'll see how this holds out on higher end pinnacle bosses. We know that the damage it deals is enough to deal with it. We just want to see how it feels compared to other minion builds. I will say, though, the build is very, very comfortable. Very, very comfy to play. Nice. Is this the boss now? No, there's more. I hope this Wisp buffs the corrupted boss. I have another 4 to go. There's no way this Wisp is going to last that long, is it? Make sure that offering is up. There's tons of attack speed from that. Big pack like this I can use a curse on. Just because you can tank things to the face doesn't mean that you should. So that was a Wisp buffed pack. We'll just keep going. One more down here. Let me through, please. You could run Blink with this as well. It's just that you lose so much damage from running Blink that I don't want to do it. Would speed it up, I guess, if you have enough damage. Lost the Wisp. Oh, I thought it was gone. My bad. My bad. See, if I move back so that the minions will actually get the presence buff, the damage is ridiculously high. I think it's like about 50 or 60% of your damage will come from you being in presence of your minions. On the other hand, they have very large... Look at this! Hello! There's another one down there, bro. This map, dude. Holy shit! 6-hour-long build guide video, by the way. Strap in. Alright, here we go. Buff everything up.
Hold on.
That was with Fork, which should be replaced with Lightning Infusion. That's it. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed it. That's the build guide. I'll get you guys an updated video for how it performs versus Pinnacle endgame bosses when we get there. I'll need another. Probably will be able to do that tomorrow on stream. And I'll see you guys in chat. Hope you guys enjoy the build guide. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh, yeah. Hit the like button. Subscribe for more content. And leave a comment. All of those things. Bye.